Hey guys, Kevin Hale here with the complete show from our August 7th, 2018 on-site recording at Baxter's 942 here in the Highlands of Louisville, Kentucky. 3 great segments here. Check it out. Madison Ewing, Jessica Mathis, and TJ Smith. As always, you can find our shows on Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Enjoy. Peace out. Back at it here at Baxter's 942 in the Highlands. It is Tuesday, August 7th, our recording night, on-site recording. Several segments tonight. First segment up is the lovely Madison Ewing. Madison.
Hello,
Mads.
everybody.
Mads. What's up with you?
Yes, that is my now nickname. It's been a couple years old now.
Couple years old, and you were here I don't know, about maybe a month or so ago when...
God, has it been that long?
It's close. It's been a few weeks, several weeks, but Jason Schmidt was here, your significant other.
My fiance.
He was here promoting his great thing, Derby City Dream Cars.
His bougie company.
Dream Cars. And you all get to ride in those dream cars.
I am a passenger. I do not get to drive because I have a lead foot. And Jason is fully aware of that lead foot. So I look really good in a passenger seat, though. With
those cars, you do have to err to the side of, safety. Rules. The speed limit.
I have a need for speed.
Yeah. So I mean, something like that. In my car, I can get away with driving 70 and a 55 on the freeway. You driving one of those cars, 70 on a 50,
officer, it just feels like a floating cloud.
There you go. Yeah.
You just milk it. I mean, this is also the same man who sold me a BMW and neglected to inform me that there was a sports mode that I could put it in for like 9 months until I had somebody else ride in my car with me and was like, "Do you ever put it in sports mode?" And I was like, "What's that?"
Was that done for your safety? Or did he just maybe forget?
Yeah, for my safety, the safety of the vehicle. Never for others. I'm a very cautious driver. Right. I like to go fast. I like to, my stepfather growing up used to take his car every single year to Atlanta Motor Speedway because I grew up down in Georgia. And so, for me, being a child, watching my, stepdad drive all around the speedway, to me, I'm like, I can't wait to do that. When do I get to do that?
Georgia.
So Georgia girl.
Before we get into what you're here to talk about as far as your business, give us a little history. I got the 411 shortly before this that you're a Fern Creeker by birth, and then
I'm a
Georgia
Creeker
girl. So you got the red from Fern Creek, and then you go south on us.
Southern.
So you mixing the south and the red.
And then went to high school in Cincinnati. So I became a Yankee for some time.
Yeah.
And then I moved back here to Louisville and went to Bellarmine. So a lot of people go away from home for college, and I always said, I moved when I was on my 7th birthday. I moved to Georgia. Okay. So I always said that I came home for college. So my whole family's here. I got a huge Italian, Irish, Catholic family. The DeCencies, the lovely DeCencies. If I'm sure one of you all listening knows one of them, and I'm sorry ahead of time.
Or is it one of those where if we need something done on the side, I can call you?
I have no comment. I have no comment. Yeah. No. This is like when they do the
blur. I'm gonna distort your voice as
silhouette.
Well. Yeah.
Yes. No. I mean, it's a great family, and we've got a lot of deep ties here in Louisville, athletic and business oriented. So I'm happy to be home, and I'm happy that me staying home allowed me to find my partner in life, even though he's a German. But no, I'm happy to be back in Louisville. I always said that after I graduated, I was going to move away because I grew up moving so much. My parents are in Minnesota now.
Oh, really?
So they just keep calling. I'm like, next thing you know, you're going to be in Canada.
I think they went from Fern Creek to Minnesota, or how?
So no, they went from, my stepfather went to Southern High School. My mom went to Mercy. My biological father went to Seneca. So we're Louisville people. My stepdad and mom got married. We moved to Georgia. We moved again for me to go to high school in Cincinnati. And when I was in college,
what high school in Cincinnati?
Mason High School, so yeah. Kings Island. All y'all know about Kings Island. I know y'all know about Kings Island. Yeah, the Beast. Don't recommend that when you have no idea what that is, but it's great if you do. And then when I was like, I think I was a junior in college, they moved to Minnesota, and then now they're getting ready to move to Dallas. So, yeah, not an Army brat.
Okay.
Everybody asks me that. I'm one step farther.
Witness protection either? No witness? Okay. All right.
UPS.
Running from the law?
No, just UPS. Okay. I mean, UPS, they move you. Okay. So
gotcha.
I learned all about corporate America.
There you go. I'm sure.
Moving. So, which is kind of why I'm no longer in it.
And you're doing your own thing. Yes. You are, real quick, engaged. So how long has that been? When did that all happen?
He proposed to me, obviously without me knowing, on Derby Day.
Wait a minute. All right.
Yeah.
So you had no clue.
I was aware that a ring was purchased in February.
So we're talking
months.
About
he
3 months. Well, Derby Day, so it'd have been, if you're a ballpark,
March, April.
Yeah, 3 months.
Full 3 months.
About 3 months, right?
And he had a girlfriend of mine. We were very, very blessed to have great friends that have a lot of horses that run, and we were guests of them that year. And we were in the new Finish Line Suites, which are gorgeous. So if you ever get a chance to go up there, they're fabulous. But he had a girlfriend of mine run me to the bathroom and just said, he told Michelle, he was like, Michelle, take Madison to the bathroom. And I was in there probably way long. Well, the average time that a female is in a bathroom chit-chatting, fixing her hair, doing her makeup.
Just for the record, what is that average time?
I'd say like 5 to 7 minutes.
7? Yeah, I would venture closer to the 7.
You use the facility, and then you spend a couple minutes fixing your lipstick or fixing a curl. Or I had a hat on, and it was raining, so I got to make sure that's fine.
Proof you are a chick, so continue.
I am through and through a female.
Yeah,
I own like over 100 pairs of heels, so without a doubt a female. But no, then I walked out of the bathroom, and Jason was standing on one knee with all of us. Our group in our suite together, and I screamed and cried and called everybody assholes. I literally looked at everybody after I said yes and said, you all are all assholes.
So you literally came right out of the bathroom.
And I took 3 steps, because the suite, it's like you walk into the suite and there's a restroom to your left and then the bar to like a suite.
So there's a little bit of way from the bathroom.
5 paces.
Clearly past the smell of the bathroom.
Yes, fully. There was no commode within the video.
In the video, you couldn't hear.
There's no flushing. No, it was within the suite, and I walked out, and I was like, "Why the hell is everybody staring at me?" Nice. I thought they were looking at the TV. Cool. And then I take one more step, and there's Jason on one knee, and I just was like, started crying and said yes, and then looked at everybody and called them all assholes. Everybody keeps asking me why. I'm a girl. I was crying. Nobody brought me makeup. Nobody brought me makeup. So all day, that's why there's literally no photos from our engagement day. There's just video.
Oh, good God.
I was like red-faced. It was, all right. We'll have to go get engagement photos done.
So you got, obviously, once that, you got past that moment, the makeup, the reality that you were engaged.
So happy. Yeah. I can't wait to marry him.
We got a date?
We're looking mid-June.
Of
next year.
Right.
Oh, Lord. I wanted it to be this fall, but y'all, it's already August.
It is.
So
yeah.
That ain't happening. No, but it's, I being a business owner, I'm very frugal. Having an accounting background, I'm very budget oriented. So planning this wedding is not so much about what I want, and I want these flowers, and I want this, and forget what it's cost. It's very much like, you want how much money for a glass?
Yeah. Hey.
How much money for a centerpiece?
I can appreciate that. There you go.
And once it's gone, it's gone.
It's gone.
Right. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, well, shoot, that's like another year of, payments for the business. Right. Yeah. So
that's a word.
It's been a roller coaster of what do I really, really want? Because I do want that gorgeous wedding with my perfect person. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, that dollar amount is like, ooh.
Here you go. Okay, so Mad's Gallery.
Yes.
Give us two things. How did the name? Well, there is a story with how the name came about. MADS, Mad's Gallery. And how long has this been in play?
So we've been open now for a little over a year. We opened March of last year, and my nickname after I graduated college and have my fabulous group of girlfriends, they all call me Mads. And when we were trying to come up with a name for the gallery, we toyed with the idea of like doing Madison Avenue and things like that. And to me, I think it's been a little overplayed, Madison Avenue. But somebody, I forget who, I think Jason actually was like, well, why don't we just call it like Mads Ave, like it's my avenue. And then I was like, that's fine, but it doesn't define what we are. Like, are we, a coffee shop, or like what are we? Yeah. So that's why we just did Mads Gallery, and it actually became this perfect, where it's not just my name, but it stands for Modern Artwork, Design, and Style, which is everything the gallery encompasses. We specialize in modern artwork, so everything in there is contemporary. So I always say, like, if you find yourself going to like a Z gallery or a contemporary gallery or Target's actually has great stuff, but like if you find yourself doing that and you spend X amount of money there, why not spend the same money or just a little more and support local art?
Right.
So that's where the modern artwork comes in. And then I'm a fashionista. I have no problem claiming that. I love clothing, but I also love like design. So I love like bringing like elements to your homes, to your office that are aesthetically nice.
Is that your background though?
No.
Then, okay, that's now how did you gravitate to this?
The A does not stand for accounting. Modern accounting, design and style. No, I went to Bellarmine, so I moved back here to come home to go to college, and I studied accounting, and I got my master's, and I did all of that in 4.5 years, which everybody's like, wow. What the hell? That's really fast. I didn't take a summer off, which really I recommend because summer classes are way easier and they're shorter.
Right.
So you have less to read because you have less time to read. But so I studied accounting in college. All I did was accounting work. I interned at LG&E, did financial accounting through the transition from when coal was banned to the building of the batteries to now it's allowed again. So I went through all of that.
Your needle was on the pushing 10 though. I mean, you were just going for it.
I was working 30 hours a week as an intern and going to school for 20 to 24 hours. So I did not have a social life, which is why I didn't meet Jason until right before I was going to graduate. And then I did grad school at Bellarmine, and they have this great program for accounting where you can go for a summer abroad, which is fun. I went to Italy.
Nice.
And then you come back and you do a fall semester, and then you graduate. So I graduated in May with my undergrad, graduated in December with my master's. I just turned 21 years old.
Killing it.
I was very proud of myself.
Yeah,
I mean, that
absolutely.
was a huge, besides my stepfather and my aunt, who is actually not even full-blood, she's a half aunt of mine. I was the first one in my family to graduate from college.
Good.
So I was very, very proud of that. And then I went into public accounting. I mean, that's the path they pave for you. Most engineers who study engineering in school go into an engineering field. Accountants, med, anything like that. You go into that field that you studied. And I went into public accounting, and I was very good at the work. I enjoyed the work. I loved the firm that I was at. I just felt like auditing was something that I could come back to. It's never going to go anywhere. So Jason, who is fully entrepreneur, as you all learned a couple weeks ago when you talked to him, he's like, well, why don't you go do something? What's something that you've always wanted to do? And besides be a Broadway star, because I can't sing or dance, that's obviously out of the books, or out of the question, really. I was like, well, it'd be really cool to like run something that I know nothing about.
That was the mentality, right? You just wanted to
really
throw yourself a curveball.
I can't tell you the difference in paint strokes. I can't tell you,
I still struggle to keep between the lines when I draw right now. So.
Color by numbers.
Yeah.
They have those books
They
now.
still do.
Very popular. But no, I mean, like, I know I've spent the time educating myself over the last, year. But when I went into it, like, I was like, that's contemporary or that's old. I couldn't tell you, styles or anything like that. But I knew that I loved what people could produce. And so I knew that I would call it green with envy. I was very envious of those that could create.
That type of talent,
Yeah, because I can't draw a stick figure.
No. And I still, it is amazing how someone can really just have this thought or vision in their head and just, bring it to life.
Yes.
On a canvas.
Yes, and I mean, and if you ever in accounting, they teach you all about processes and procedures and like how you need to know the steps from 1 to 100 or whatever you have to do. But like with art,
be honest, you still have never used algebra in your life.
I do.
You use algebra right now.
I use algebra regularly. I'm planning a wedding right now. I have estimated 200 guests times however many people the catering's going to cost per person.
Okay, touche.
200x plus.
All right, you got me there.
Yeah,
right.
You all use algebra.
All right, algebra.
Trust me.
Kids,
and I told Jason a couple weeks ago,
right.
I miss school. I miss it. I might go back to school to just do something. But no, art, unlike that, art, you can't analyze the process.
No.
Like, you've just got to let it do its thing. Right. You've got to let the artists allow their vision to come alive. And it may not become exactly what they visioned, but very rarely do you see something and you're like, that's just butt-ass ugly. You know, it's like, it may not be my style or it may not be the colors I would have chosen, but that's amazing that it was created, you know, not only by a human being, but like somebody that is your neighbor. It's a community member that's a Louisvillian. So there's a lot of talent in this city. And I started with 3 artists. We opened, and now I've got over 16. And everybody specializes in very different art, different mediums, sculpturous, calligraphy, resin work, to, you know, super thick acrylic painting that it's like 3D off the canvas. It's gorgeous. So I've been really excited, and it's way more colorful, way more pretty than spreadsheets.
Spreadsheet, yeah. Now, I'm on your Facebook page, Mad's Gallery. As far as the info, this is what you wrote as your about, and I want you to elaborate.
Okay.
With the self-defining name, Mad's is bringing modern artwork, design, and style to Louisville and wherever there's internet. Local artists wanted. The gallery provides a unique backdrop for any event inquired today. So when you say the internet, I'm assuming your website.
So yes, we have all of our items, you know, is available on our websites for purchase, and we'll ship them out to you. So wherever you've got internet, you can buy local Louisvillian art. And there are people that, you know, Louisville's a place where a lot of people don't leave, or they leave and they come right back. But there are some of those floaters that are still out within, you know, the U.S. and internationally. And if they want to support local artists here in Louisville, they have the opportunity to do so by purchasing on madsgallery.com. And then the event space is something that, you know, was not originally part of my vision. But we, for example, just hosted our first baby shower Saturday in the gallery, and it was fabulous. They had about 45 people, and they did, you know, food and beverages, and
when the events, they are bringing their own event there, or is it something
I am not restrictive as to what event. We've had a couple weddings.
Really?
So our very one of our very first weddings was in January, and it was actually an inter-religion wedding, and the bride came to me, and she was Muslim. And her now husband was Christian, and she could not find anywhere in Louisville that would marry them to because they were interreligions. And they were doing a destination wedding, but she said that it was very important
You're
to
not
her.
ordained, are you? No, I was going to say.
I've done my steps. I'm confirmed. But good old Catholic girl. But no, so she came to me and she's like, it's really important to me to have this religious ceremony to, you know, pay respect to my heritage and my religion. And she's like, are you open to that? And I looked at her and I'm like, is that a question? Like, I don't care, girl. Like, if you want to marry your fiance, your husband now, by all means, like, just let me know what you need from me. And we did this gorgeous Sunday brunch wedding for 42 people. It was very intimate and it was gorgeous. So we've done like a lot of fundraising events. We just held a fundraiser event for Voices of Kentuckiana, which is the all-inclusive choir that has been around for 25 years. So we share a birthday. So we just did a fundraiser for them. We've done Emily DeGenis, who is a neighbor of mine personally, is running for family court judge. We held a fundraiser for her. And it's really can be, we've held board meetings, you know, where if you want to get out of your conference room that you look out regularly, and just hold a board meeting with us and be surrounded by art, or, you know,
there's
so much that you can do.
There's a good visual vibe when it comes to art. Cause I'll be honest, as I'm getting older, one of the things I like to just turn the fucking TV off, news and all that stuff. And I'll go on YouTube or someplace where I'm, you know, I've got some art, something visual rolling, and I'll put some music in the background too, and that's I'm good with that.
I'm a jazz fan. I we're planning this wedding, and I like want the Frank Sinatra big band style, with the horns and the strings and the guitar, like all of those, like 50 people behind me for my wedding. Can't afford that. And also it just doesn't exist anymore. So every time you come into the gallery, 9 times out of 10, there's like jazz music on. And not only have I found that like the music helps, but like you said, the visuals, like being around stuff that something created has the subconscious ability to allow you to think more inspirationally.
It purges that bullshit, junk out of your head too. So
you say bullshit.
Yeah, yeah. So it's funny. I have found. I don't know. This will sound weird. At night, if I'm doing this, bringing all this artwork or this look or vision, something, before I go to sleep. My dreams.
You dream about it?
Well, it's not about it, but it's like
it's there.
That image, those images, colors, or something is a part of it. So it's kind of goofy, but
I mean, there is something to say about the impact art has on society, as far as a community level, but then as specific as an individual level. And I've learned that. I've learned that obviously when you look at paintings. Let's use just paintings as an example. People, especially abstract, and we have a lot of abstract within the gallery, people see different things. And what that does is that sparks conversation. And when conversations are sparked, things can be changed. There's a lot of progressive art. There's a lot of political art. Not everything has to have an intent. Art can just be for pure joy of visually enjoy. You know what I mean? Like you could just look at it and be like, that's really pretty. It doesn't, make me want to go out and do something, but it's gorgeous. So it's one of those things where it affects people differently, and it can affect a community as a whole, or you yourself might be impacted from a piece that I'm like, it looks like a painting. Yeah. So it's just really unique.
What is your take when it comes to the more risque, exotic art?
We've got a lot of, I have a artist within the gallery. Her name's Sandy Garrett, and she does color pencil and ink drawings.
Really?
So I'm talking like 8 to 15 hours per piece is spent with a colored pencil or marker in her hand. She has a lot of silhouettes, like a lot of women's body, and they're gorgeous. And people come to me and they're like, "Why is this, $500, $600, $700?" And I'm like, "Do you know how much time she spent on shading a woman's body on an 11 by 14 piece of paper?" The art industry is hard. Not everybody understands why a value is placed on something. But if you were to spend 18 hours on a project or a spreadsheet, and you were to break it down by what maybe your hourly or salary rate is, it's going to be way more than like $500, $600, $700.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. So it's one of those things, like, it's hard. And I think that's just part of educating community. I am a millennial. My generation, in my opinion, is more focused on convenience than quality.
You know how to drive a manual transmission?
That is actually on my bucket list. I was taught a couple years ago on a Mazda 6 because the guy that I was dating that many years ago drove one of those in a parking lot, and a police officer told me I sucked and then I had to get out of the parking lot. So Jason, owning several vehicles that are manual transmission.
Because that's the only way you can drive certain types of cars.
Yes, and that's on my bucket list. There's something and I'm an old soul. Everybody who's ever interacted with me has told me that. A lot of people who meet Jason and I are like, there's no way he's the 34-year-old and you're the now 25-year-old. Like, it should be switched. But I am, and I love the jazz, the Frank Sinatra. That's all I listen to. And I would just love to get behind the wheel of like an old school Porsche. Yeah. And we've always talked about driving, the California coastline. But I want to be able to drive part of that. Right. So it's on my bucket list. But who's at fault there? Him. He's not taught me.
Damn you, Jason.
I think he secretly is being selfish and doesn't want me to know, so that I have an excuse to not drive some of those lovely exotic cars that he rents.
One more thing, it's the art of Louisville in the heart of Louisville. Yeah. Your artwork is for sale.
Yes.
There's private art creation classes, poetry night every fourth Tuesday.
Yeah, so every fourth Tuesday, one of my artist husbands, who's a fabulous poet, his name is Samuel Sun. They just moved here from Charlotte a few months ago, and she does great artwork, really acrylic, oil, heavy, some mixed media, very large scale, but he's a poet, and I think he's an exceptional poet. My former professor, Professor Smock, is the Kentucky Laureate of Poetry. and he's actually going to host our next one, which is whatever the 4th Tuesday is in August, like the 26th or whatever that date is. But he's going to come in and host with Samuel.
Wait a minute, that'll be 28th.
28th.
So today's the 7th, so yeah,
Okay.
4th, yeah. So.
Yeah, 28th. Thank you. Math.
I'm quick.
Accountants can always do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But anyway, so I have a great and blessed that's part of being Bellarmine, being a small school. I still have maintained a relationship with several of my professors, Professor Smock being one of them, and him being the Kentucky laureate of poetry laureate, whatever the way that goes. I've always loved poetry. I thought it was really neat. Again, no artistic ability, can't write it. But he's going to partnership with Samuel for that event, and we're going to do some really amazing things. So if you are a poet, it does not have to be your own poetry. If you just enjoy poetry and you want to read a poem that's like your favorite, that's what I did a couple weeks ago. I read one of my favorite poems, and it was great. I mean, we have a discussion about it. It's not a slam, so it's not a competition.
Okay.
But what you said, the art of Louisville and the heart of Louisville was something that one of my dear friends, Tanya Ablin, who wrote that article about Matt's Gallery, came up with, and it really has helped identify what we are, because we are the only true art gallery that's solely an art gallery on Bridgetown Road, which is the heart of Louisville. It's
really?
insane.
For real?
Yes, I mean we've got
that's surprising.
We've got other businesses.
As eclectic as this area is.
Yes, we've got other businesses that sell local art. But
Oh,
they're,
gotcha. Yeah.
but they're either
Right,
a coffee shop, or they're a
right.
retail store, or they're an interior design company. Like Scorpio Interiors is a gallery, but they're an entire, like,
Gotcha.
they do other things. We are strictly a gallery that you happen to be able to rent, because that's new. Not new, but that's something that it's metamorphed itself into instead of me deciding that.
Right.
But yeah, so it's kind of cool that we are a Highlands gallery.
I like that.
Love the Highlands too. So
The other thing too, you do a every third Saturday thing.
oh, salsa
Tango
or tango
night.
or
Tango salsa,
bachata
yeah.
or merengue, or last week it was the blues. Did you know the blues had dance? Blues has a dance. I learn something new every day.
Actually, I don't think
With the gallery.
No, I don't think.
So they do. It's very sultry.
I'm
Okay,
sure, yeah.
it's very, very.
It is a sexy
It's
thing.
like
yeah.
it's a classier version of maybe bumping and grinding. so to
That's a
speak.
good way to put it.
But we do. So I work with Bourbon Tango, and they came to me. Jason and I just discovered this exactly a year ago.
Sherry and
Cherie and
Clay.
Clay.
Yeah. Sherry's been on the show
Yes.
before.
Oh, she
yeah.
has.
Yeah,
She really?
she
Oh, I
killed
have to
it.
tell her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love her to death.
Yeah,
I love Clay.
very good looking.
But they came in one day after coffee last August, and were like, "Hey, we'd love to dance in here." And I was like, "What?" Again, no business plan mentioned salsa dancing.
Right.
But they're like, we're tango and salsa instructors, and we do other dances, and we'd love to like have an event here and see how it goes. Well, now we've been doing one at least once a month. Typically, it's a third Saturday. Sometimes we move it around because they are instructors. They are their own business. They have their own responsibilities to go to. Like we just had one last Saturday, so just a couple days ago. Obviously, that wasn't the third Saturday; it was the first, but it's fine.
We're just keeping score.
But we keep it updated, and it's great. I now know how to salsa and bachata and merengue.
Really?
Jason
Two?
doesn't.
Oh, he doesn't. He's working on it.
No, he likes to just sit there and observe, I guess. But he's gonna have to learn because it's so much fun. And the great thing about it is with Bourbon Tango,
It is fun to watch.
with
though.
Clay and
It
Cherie.
is actually, it is fun to watch.
And you'd be surprised how many people just like pop in and they're like,
Yeah.
"What's going on
Yeah.
here?" And we're like, "It's salsa night." But what it is it's so
I'm gonna have to pop
welcoming.
in.
Come in. It's
Yeah,
so welcoming. If you have no idea what to do, everybody knows how to move their hips. Yeah, I don't care what you say. You know how to shake it. So we have this like.
Can you prove that for us right now? Because you just said everyone. Okay. All right.
There we go. Can y'all see that? But no, there's such an array of, I guess, skill level within the
Oh,
gallery
yeah,
on
of
those
course.
nights. So
Right.
you've got the people like me who think they know more than they do, but definitely know the steps. And then
Right.
you've got people that it's in their blood.
Yeah.
Like they've been dancing their whole life. It's second nature to them. And they will grab people like me and they say, let's dance the tango. I don't know how to dance the tango. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. They're like, I'll show you. So it's very inclusive. It's very nice to see the community of all different, ethnicities. It's not just the Latin people that are
Right.
within the gallery. We've got a lot of different people that know some things better than others, and it's a learning experience as a community, and it's so much fun. And Jason is obsessed with the like dance lights, so we turn the dance lights all on. The Chave like uplighting, you know what I mean? That like dance to the music. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like
yeah.
They change
no,
colors.
yeah, right, yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
we have those.
Okay.
Jason's very proud of those. But yeah, so it's a lot of fun. That might be my favorite moment of the month. Is when
Cool.
we do.
I like that.
Dance
I
night.
like how you're engaging these different types of events.
Oh, it's an art form.
It is true. Actually, there you go.
So it's an art form. Dance is an art form. So I've got sculpture art. I've got calligraphy art. I've got photography. I've got painting. I've got dance. We've got poetry. The only art that I'm missing is my public spreadsheets. It's an art form, y'all.
Yeah, colored graphs,
Writing
colored
a
pie
macro.
charts. Yeah.
Writing a macro.
There you go.
Everybody. It's an art form.
Madison Ewing Mads Gallery. It is at 1608 Barstown Road here in the Highlands. madsgallery.com. Madison, you came on and killed it. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, y'all.
fun.
Chatty Cathy over here.
Yeah.
So, bye, everybody.
Peace out. All right, guys, Kevin Hale here, back at it in the Highlands, Baxter's 942, our Tuesday night home to do our podcast recording. It is August 7th, 2018. Next segment, we've got the lovely Jessica Mathis. Jessica,
Yes.
what's up?
How's it going, Kevin?
Going, man.
He says back at it like he's working really hard. He went out to take a smoke break and now he's back to furiously interview people. For
Don't
the rest
smoke,
of the
but
day.
yeah, took
I know,
the
but I
first
was just
segment.
saying,
We had a good first
a break.
segment, and here we are with you. And when I go through, I generally find my guests on Facebook, connect with them, done somehow news feeds and stuff.
Stalker.
And a little bit of that. Sometimes if you think someone's peeking through your blinds, it could be me. It could be. I'm not saying it is. I call it research, not stalking. All right. So, Jessica, you posted some stuff recently, and then I was reminded this chick's a comedian. She's a writer, producer. She's an editor-in-chief with the magazine. You're an event producer with a music event that's right around Derby. She is single, and the girls are here too, guys. So,
That's right.
Yeah.
I brought
Yeah.
big girls.
Yeah. How are you doing? All right?
I'm doing okay. Do I look calm and collected for somebody that does so much? Yeah. I'm doing pretty good.
How is business with you? I mean, you're involved with a lot of stuff. So
I am. Well, I think the thing to remember is, as a freelancer or somebody that works for themselves, you learn to juggle furiously. And a lot of times it is feast or famine, like all of the work comes at once or not at all. And you're like, oh my God, I better get a day job.
And you're a single mother too, right?
Yeah, but to be fair,
Okay.
he moved out last year.
So he's up
For the first,
of age.
that's why I'm like, I'm good,
Okay.
Kevin, because
Okay.
now I'm not juggling all this crazy stuff and.
I was gonna say because when I did my research, I didn't see anybody. Not peek. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you peeked through my windows, you didn't see anybody
I only saw
like
you.
walking around the house.
No kids.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I thought she was.
Well, she wouldn't be.
Yeah.
She wouldn't be walking around like that if her
No,
son were home.
exactly.
Yeah, no. He'll be 21 in March, and I can't believe I can say that.
21.
And on a good day, a lot of people think we're brother and sister. Occasionally, when we were younger, somebody would ask if he was my boyfriend, and that's when he would almost pass out. Like as a 16-year-old boy, the last thing you want is somebody to ask if your mom is your girlfriend.
Mom still got game, guys.
Yeah.
Wild. Is that the wild ginger? I mean, elaborate on the wild ginger real quick? There's
It's
some
not
good
really that I'm all that
on.
wild so much as just I do have
free-spirited.
Free-spirited, thank you. That sounds a little more, a little less coyote ugly dancing on the bar, and a little more just like.
I mean, yeah.
I have a lot
With
of
this
energy and a lot of creative energy.
hashtag Me Too thing, might be.
Yeah, watch yourself, Kevin.
Yeah, exactly.
We're in a professional situation right now.
Yeah, so, yeah. I know. Actually, I want to get into that, but before we do, let's get your background again.
Sure.
How did this all come about? I mean,
All the different stuff that I
Yeah.
do. Well, a lot. It's so funny because for a long time I used the stage name Divinity Rose. And people would introduce me, and they say, this is Divinity Rose.
That's the comedy name.
Well, what do you do? Well, I used it for everything. And then Facebook made me start using Jessica, and that just confused everybody. And so... so now, and I do, when I do journalistic stuff, journalism, I will often use Jessica because it has nothing to do with my own creative fiction writing or my stage performance. So kind of separates the two. But now I'm kind of at a crossroads where I'm deciding if I still want to use Divinity at all.
Well, elaborate, because you say stage performance and I threw comedy out. You've got a character name. Is there more than comedy when you say stage performance?
Sometimes I sing.
Okay.
Sometimes it's like a cabaret style stuff. Sometimes it's stand up. But I used to produce and MC a lot of art showcases where I would showcase comedians, musicians, poets, what have you. So when I say stage name, yeah.
Is there
and obviously the strip club.
Is there a, exactly. I mean, how do you do on that poll?
Honestly, I don't like the poll because it leaves bruises all over you. It's very tough. It's tough. No. I do okay, actually. I've done some pole fit and aerial fitness before. I climb well. Yeah. So no, it's honestly, I have not done a whole lot of live performing. I emceed a raw art showcase recently at the Mercury Ballroom. That was a lot of fun because I've been so busy with the magazine and stuff that pays more than stage stuff, like comedy.
The job.
Yeah.
That's your go-to job.
Well, it's one of them. I mean, it's part-time too. It's a quarterly magazine, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, let's talk about the magazine. Go ahead.
Sure.
Food and Dining Magazine. You are the editor-in-chief.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
It kind of fell into my lap. A friend of mine was working with them and said, hey, we need a proofreader. Ours is out of town. And the first issue that I did proofreading, the publisher said, it's been through some editors and writers. You probably won't find much. And I found like 96 errors. And he's like, well, you just got yourself a new gig as a proofreader. Yeah. And so then I was making suggestions on story and he was taking notice. And then they handed over writing the web stuff for me in December of last year. And I increased the readership by 24% in the first month. And he's like, whoa, well, and so it was a progression to editor-in-chief. And I'm definitely more on coming from a background of writing and storytelling than I am food and cooking. And I was at a point in my life where I really wanted to learn a lot more about that. So it was a really cool and interesting journey for me, and it's been a lot of fun. And man, I'm just so blown away by the culinary talent in our city. Now, we have over 1,400 restaurants in Louisville now.
Exactly. And it's, we've had a few restaurant owners, chefs on in the past, and the food scene here is pretty legit.
It is. It is. And people are taking notice. Obviously, Top Chef is here right now. I got to go spend a day there and interview the host, Pavna. It was awesome.
And what's the dude with the hair who opened his place at 4th Street?
Ed Lee?
No, Guy.
Guy Fieri. Yeah, the hair.
Yeah, the hair,
yeah. I was like, what kind of hair? Like hair in general?
Yeah, the hair.
Yeah,
it's
flaming hair.
I'd say he's got that food hair, and then the guy that has talks the aliens got that other.
That does what?
Aliens, the
aliens guy. That was so funny. I saw a meme on the internet, not to get political, but I saw a meme online that was hilarious when Trump said he wanted to start the Space Force. Somebody put a meme of that guy and said Trump's new advisor for the Space Force.
I love it.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It was great.
Culinary background?
Me?
Good?
No.
Okay.
No, none at all. None at all. But I know how to tell a story, and I know how to look at somebody's story and say this, needs work here or there. And I learn super fast. I'm a sponge. So what I did know about cooking has just quadrupled in the last year or two. And I'm pushing boundaries and I'm tasting stuff that my whole life I was like, I don't want to taste that. Like right here, these fish tacos at Baxter's are amazing. And they've got pickled stuff on it. I don't even like pickled stuff.
But it's good.
My whole life it's been a joke how much I hate pickles. Like I started to write a book called The War of the Pickles.
I'm not, but I like.
That's how much I dislike them.
Let me tell you, you're probably like me. You like cucumbers.
Yeah, they're okay. They're okay. I'm not like I love them or anything, but they're okay. pickles, absolutely. Like my son was grounded once because he came up to me. He's like, "Mom, you want a French fry?" And I knew as soon as I opened my mouth, it was a mistake. He threw in a pickle with it, and like a sliced pickle, and he thought it was hilarious.
I'll just if I'm eating something and it's been soaked in pickle juice, I'll start getting
like I'm gagging right now. Don't even say it. Like I don't even like the word. But these are good. These are so good, and I didn't even know. I've not really been here much to Baxter's, and I was just thinking, oh, it's a bar, it's a music venue, it might have bar food. And I mean, granted, some people might consider tacos like a bar food, but this is not. This is so good.
Our buddy there, you got to meet him. He does a pretty damn good job.
He was good. He was really good. And I'm so upset. He said they have brisket tacos.
No, I mean, so might need to make a return visit.
Yeah, so might need to.
You know, it's for editor-in-chief. Whenever I get in my editor-in-chief mode on Facebook, they call me a grammar Nazi.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very anal.
Oh, I can be, but here's the thing. I am the worst texter ever. If you get text from me, you know that my freaking thumbs, and I do it fast, and I have a nerve condition I take medication for that kind of hits my motor skills a little. And so, like...
But be honest.
You get these like horribly typed texts from me, but then when it comes to business, I am a Nazi. I'm an absolute Nazi. But I'm like social media, meh.
Yeah, but here's the thing: when people, even in your business, your proofreading, articles, whatever, and the same thing with people are trying to convey a point or an opinion or something.
Yeah, and it can confuse you if it's
some review or something. Right.
Correctly.
If it's not, or the right word is
right.
YOU apostrophe RE or YOUR. You know who you all are out there. It's good.
So
God, that drives
I try so hard not to be lazy, but it does makes my head hurt. But I realize we all have different strengths, and for a long time I took for granted that I was writing and reading when I was like 3 years old. I was writing in cursive, and I didn't know. And I was like 4.0, barely cracked a book through high school. I didn't realize I was any different than anybody else until I was editor of a college paper, and people would turn stuff in that were in English 102, which means I passed 101 somehow that was full of errors, full of like all this. And I was like, wow, people do have trouble with language. A lot of people do. And I feel like I'm going to go all deep and not funny for a minute, but I feel like that's part of what's wrong with our culture these days is we want everybody to be a rocket scientist. And guess what? We need people who are not rocket scientists.
No.
But all of our culture is based around go to college, get a degree, get a and you know what? Some people are not made to be that. They're not. And so instead of being okay and becoming something else and making a good living, because I know plumbers make a ton of money, for example.
Exactly.
But instead of doing that, they start to feel bad about themselves because they're not a rocket scientist. And so a lot of people will turn to drugs or what have you to sate their insecurities.
Turn to drugs. You're shitty at spelling, so I'm gonna go.
It's not just that. It's more that they've been taught by media and what have you. They should be a college degree doctor. Yeah. And I say that partially because I've done a lot of work with youth and programs, and I've seen the difference it makes when you start to really find what people are good at and celebrate that. So I'm bringing my social psychology side of my personality to the table here.
And you're doing all that, and then you can put all this together and be funny about it.
Well, yeah, because my brain is so weird. It is very weird.
I'm wired a little different.
I was brought up a lot different than a lot of people. I went through 9 different families before I was 9 years old. I was in foster homes. I went through a lot of tough stuff there. I was adopted by a family that was really well off and very high level. Washington D.C. Politically involved family, and I moved back into my biological family in Kentucky, and so. I've just had a very interesting life, and I'm a sponge on top of that. ADD all over the place. Gotcha. But so the nature of my personality is I'm going to write really deep, epic, psychological stuff, or I'm a 10-year-old boy and I'm going to laugh at boob jokes or fart jokes. And so on the way, I've been covering state parks lately for the magazine and these meals. Cool. And on the way the other day, I noticed my car has an ink stain on the back seat, like a blue ink stain. And whenever I clean up my car, I find all my pens. And I've joked about my car being like a breeding ground for pens. So now I have to wonder if that ink stain is from ink ejaculation. So I'm totally
your pens
deep
are mating and
10-year-old boy jokes.
Yeah, so inner insert Beavis and Butthead laugh.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
Exactly.
And you know what? One thing this world could use, well, let me say, the U.S. there's a lot more laughter than the bullshit that, and I'm not trying to veer off course. And, with depending on which side of the fence you stand politically, there's a lot of tension.
There's a lot of tension right now.
To me,
we're so divided.
Yeah, so divided. And the truth is, I think the divide has always been there. It's just that, again, I'm getting a little political and I'll shut it down. But this administration seems to promote and enable it. And I'll leave
Well,
it.
yeah. And it's not just, it is this administration does seem to promote and enable it. But also, for the first time, not for the first time in history, obviously, I just almost misspoke horribly. For the first time, I just almost pulled a Trump tweet like, for the first time ever, we've got internet. No. But over the last,
Right.
15 years, we have become more and more aware of what our neighbors are thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We never used to have that. Throughout
that's a
history,
good point.
you had to go and debate in person, and it was a lot harder to be discivil or uncivil.
I'm with you.
When you're looking at somebody face to face to debate them. If me and you were living in colonial times when our country was founded and we had difference of opinion and we had to come to a room to debate each other about our differences of opinions, but also knew that you were only one of so many other people that would help me fix my house if it needed it, or fight off invaders, we would have had a difference of opinion, but we would have remained respectful. And I feel like that's something that's been lost. And I feel like when I look back at history, there's this respect amongst enemies. Like, you might have a difference of opinion, you might be enemies, you might be at war, but they almost enjoyed each other's company.
Right.
They almost still respected that they had someone that could challenge them. You know what I mean? So I feel like today we're just taught like, oh, you're different than me, I hate you.
Right.
And that's it.
Different color, the way you speak. You're selling water on the street. Granted, you're a different color as well, and I'm gonna call the police on you, blah blah blah. When it comes to comedians, if you don't mind, just humor me.
Sure.
Stay with the administration. Yeah. This administration, late night talk shows, comedians. This is a fucking. He gives them so much to talk about.
Yeah, that's true.
And then to me, there's that fine line of either laughing at someone or shame, because I don't think there's anything wrong with shaming bad people.
Right.
Ever. Now, others, when you shame them, may come across as being funny, but you're being kind of serious. So, I don't know, as a comedian, what is your take, when it comes to how, politics, how they incorporate, because some of that some of it's kind of creative, but it's like it's the sure thing, there's no.
Sometimes,
yeah.
Sex is usually, not to get, but sex is usually considered like the easiest jokes. Because when I first started comedy, I was trying to find my voice, and I'd tell some sex jokes or sexy jokes, and people would be like, "Oh, that's
for the
easy
record,
route."
I've never been laughed at during sex. Just saying. Anyways,
I don't know why. Okay, going back to our psychology discussion, I don't know why Kevin felt like he needed to say that, but
record.
he just wanted to put it out there in case anybody was listening that might need to hear it.
Yeah.
So.
Future. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, so a lot of times sex is actually considered or dirty jokes or race jokes. Those are the easy targets. I actually think a lot of political humor can be really tough. I feel like this, like you said, this current term is pretty easy for a lot of people, I think. But I personally, I tend to go for witticisms or jokes about myself or my experiences because I have PTSD from the stuff I went through as a kid. So I don't necessarily like conflict. So I try not to, and I really like encouraging people in entrepreneurship and positivity. So I try not to joke too much on things that might bring another person down or make another person like angry or feel bad about themselves. That being said, sometimes there's some irresistible one-liners or something that my brain is like, well, I'm gonna write it anyways. So,
How do you deal
but I don't usually use them.
Right.
I don't use them. Yeah. So
hecklers? How do you deal with those?
honestly, I don't have a lot of problem with
Good.
hecklers.
That's good.
But I'm not really the type of person that has minded joking around with them before. Like,
heckling is what trying to hijack the show. To me, I think is another.
for some people, yeah. Some people just want to be helpful.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are like, you have to destroy them. I've never been in a situation where I necessarily had to do that.
Do you got any good attorney jokes?
Attorney jokes?
Yeah, any attorney jokes?
Might.
No,
Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
I have like an hour of material, and I've been, like I said, out of practice. I've been on stage with stand up like once up at this really cool vintage theater in Indiana in the last year because I've been way too busy producing events or with the magazine, or I have a video client right now that I'm helping produce a YouTube channel for.
Oh, nice.
Stuff like that, So doing parlaying my creativity. Oh, and also I really am taking my creativity more in the direction of television. I'm interested in television writing, so I've been for months in my free time, instead of pursuing stand-up shows, working on I have an original pilot comedy that I wrote,
Really?
and then to represent yourself out in the market, you need a spec script for a show that already exists, and one that's in its current timeline, one that's been on the air more than 1 year and is still on the air. And a lot of the comedies I like are not. They're either done or they're 1 year in. So I decided to go the other route. I've written short stories and stuff that are more kind of like thriller or psychological. And I actually decided to do Gotham as my spec
Really?
script. Yeah,
Oh,
because I
wow.
love how theatric it is and all the big characters, and there aren't many shows you can do that with.
Yeah, but with the age now of Netflix or Amazon Prime.
For sure. When I say television writing, I mean episodic.
You're.
I don't necessarily
right.
mean ATV,
Yeah,
but episodic.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I like it because it's ongoing.
But I'm saying there's just more out there for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm kind of at that point now where I finished raising my son, right? And now I'm like, there's a whole big world out there. I need to call my bluff, where I said I was going to pursue bigger things when he was raised,
Cowgirl
and not be
up.
afraid. That's right.
Cowgirl up,
Saddle
yeah.
up, like saddle up and do it. Quit being a little bitch. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
All right, so there's comedy, and then there's one of our favorite things to talk about, the music scene.
Sure.
For what it's worth, a lot of people recognize this podcast as a music podcast, but music is very important to me.
Yeah.
I love the local music
You've done a lot
scene.
for local music.
And I'd like to think that I have. I think I've got people know my intentions are good when it comes to that. I'm a huge fan. I love local. I love supporting it.
Yeah.
And then you're involved with something that's happening right around Derby Town.
Yes.
So share that.
Okay, so I used to, like I said, I used to produce art showcases, and there was always a music act. And at the time, when I did it, it was because I was like, are you kidding me? People say, come play my showcase. But there was no pay, and they didn't have their own following. They get paid, the hosts would get paid, and they'd say, oh, and invite all your fans, right? So they want you to come play for exposure, but they didn't have any exposure. So I started a showcase, and I knew so many people in so many different scenes. I've always been that cross-section that talks to everybody. So I was running around introducing people all the time, and I was like, I need to create something central where I can just say, hey, come here, and I'll introduce you to each other. And so I had split any money from the bar with the featured acts, and then open mic acts would get up in between. Cool. So at the time, I got to know a lot of music people, and I would produce, and then I started producing a slightly different type of showcase, like pop-up, invitation only, cool stuff that mixed in technology with it. And Wes Allen of Eastwood Records was involved when those came to it, and he knows I've always gotten a good crowd out and done well producing it. So when he and somebody else were talking about doing the Muse Cruise, he said, we should hire this girl because she does this. She does networking events. She's done it for a long time. And really, I got to a point where I was like, I don't know if I don't really want to do networking events. I want to focus on my own stuff because I became known for what I could do for other people.
Time consuming too.
It is. I became known for doing what I could do for other people. And then people had their opinions. Girls would stab me in the back, all this stuff. And I was just like, I'm so done, you know. I loved the art scene here. I love arts in general so much and being creative. And I was totally putting myself into other people 100% all the time, and burnt out. And being a single mom, homeschooling mom on top of that.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, ugh. But this was different because there was a budget, and it was an opportunity to do something really cool for the art scene. And at the time, they didn't have a whole lot of plans for it. They just wanted to do something on the Belle Louisville at Derby time, and they were calling it a networking event. So that's what I built out. Right. And because I had done it for a long time, I had like 300, 400 musicians on my Facebook because I'm a nerd, and I separate everybody into lists on Facebook by what they do.
That's genius.
And I messaged out to each of them and said, hey, I want to invite you to this really cool thing. And we sent out mailed cool invitations. And the idea was there's all these events around Derby, and it is true a lot of people are working during that time, but there wasn't one for the arts. There wasn't one for the entertainers. And we thought, you know, these people need a red carpet event during Derby where it's their event. Right. So the Muse Cruise is an event on the Belle Louisville the Tuesday before Derby. It's happened twice now.
Day before the race.
Yeah, the day before the Great Steamboat Race. And you come out and there's bands playing on the Bell, and there's dinner and networking.
A lot of networking. Yeah.
It's a lot of networking. It's not just music. It's film and music and just the entertainment scene.
Videography,
TV.
Right?
Yeah. So a lot of networking goes on. A lot of cool things happen from it. I've heard a lot of cool stories of people that networked or met up with each other in Nashville or whatever. And we have a couple of podcasts there interviewing people. We have the red carpet and photographs going on. There's video being made, and it's a good time. So this year, it would be our third year, and the city helps us with it. And so we've had, the first year we had probably like 205. The second year we had 235, I think, or maybe up to 250. So it grew, and it was a different group of people too. And also, the second year, we were partnered with WFPK, so we had one of our bands do the live lunch the week before, and we did a couple Great Day live spots. So it was a lot of fun.
That station is a very, they play a very integral part with the local music scene.
They do. They're very interested in local music. That's why they really liked the event.
Props to them. So.
Yeah, they do a lot for the local scene, and now they do videos of local artists around town in their favorite spots. That's cool. Also cool. Today, Crosley was involved both years. Crosley Records, today I spoke with somebody from Crosley, and they are going to start offering vinyl pressing for some artists, where they will help. They'll press. The artist already has to be out there promoting their own stuff and have their recorded stuff, but they'll partner with those artists, press it on vinyl, and help market them. And they don't make money off of it, but the artists do have to pay back the production cost out of sales. So it's a very cool opportunity for Crosley to help artists that are out there. Has that
been officially announced?
Tomorrow.
It will? Okay.
Yep, tomorrow. And they're going to give away a vinyl package, give it away with 300 pressings to kick it off. So that's cool. That's really cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. So they'll be like a label, but not making money off the artist, just helping them out.
Focusing on maybe original music, I guess.
Okay, yes, of course. Yeah.
Good. There it is.
Which, if you don't know, they're local. They're based out of Louisville. Yeah.
So good for them.
Yeah.
Good for the music scene too.
Yeah. So this year we're still working out the details. This will be our third year, and everybody says your third year is when things really kick off. We were in talks last year with the Kentucky Derby Festival, so we have to pick those talks back up. And just moving forward, Doo-Wop Shop has been our biggest supporter.
Good.
Yeah, good. But we've also had Guitar Emporium and Mom's Music, and then a bunch of great sponsors like Ballots and Whiskey.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And Eastwood Records is the biggest sponsor. Wes puts out the most money to make this happen, just to support the community.
Yeah. And you're pulling it off, the week before Derby.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're getting the the boat ready for the race the next day.
Yes.
So how cool is that? So,
It is a lot of and it's a lot of fun. It's exciting. Everybody's feeling good because they might be dressed up. And this year we also had beauty pageant winners that were there doing a lot of the like handing tickets out and stuff. And so that was fun. One of the things I really love about it is there's actually a diversity council in Louisville now because a lot of derby events are so like white. Yeah, I know that it's true though. It is true.
We try to be,
it's not
factual.
that.
No, it's fact.
Not like purpose necessarily. It's just the way it is. But I love that our event was so diverse. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Very cool.
We had so many different kinds of people there.
That's music. Projects. What do you have coming up in the near future?
Well, right now, obviously, editor of the magazine. Our next issue comes out September 1st.
And you said it's a quarterly?
It is a quarterly print magazine, but we post. I write stuff every day on the
online
on the website foodandDine.com. And like I said, I've been covering the state parks, and it was so funny because I went to Prestonsburg, the Appalachia, Eastern Kentucky Sunday to cover their meal, and we went hiking and swimming, and it was amazing. Found this little alcove that I would call a swimming hole, but it's part of the lake, but it's like in an alcove, and the water was so reflective. Like if you look at my pictures in the article online, there's like trees in the water. It's amazing, like all the reflective nature of the lake. But also, I sent a picture to my friend. I was like, "Oops, I parked on this greeting card someone dropped by the swimming hole because graffitied under my car on the pavement it said, "Rach Hall, you a lying whore." So
can't make that shit
up. So it was pretty funny, but it was a lot of fun. And I got a text yesterday. The food and beverage manager texted me and said, "Hey." She had told us about this thing called Elk Night. Evidently, people come from all over the world, as far as Australia, to this park to see elk. And so they do this elk thing to kick off the viewing and hunting season. And there's like a buffet with elk on the menu. Good Lord. So she messaged me and she's like, "We'd like to give you a free room and meal and an elk tour where we take you out at 5:30 in the morning to see elk."
I'm out.
And I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Because I've decided since my son moved out, I'm going to try everything at least once, except pickles. For pickles, or there's a few things I don't. And crickets, no thanks. No. There's a few things that I don't. But if I get offered a free room and a chance to see something like that out of the ordinary, I'm going to do it.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I was like the other day, I can't remember where I was, but these people were, I think I was just out somewhere having lunch by myself. I'm quite capable of doing that. And I hear the people behind me, they all could tell the difference between a box turtle and a water turtle. And that's where I realized I'm so out of my element.
You're out of your fish out of water.
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though. I grew up, when I was a kid, I loved catching lizards and turtles or anything I could.
Lizard?
Yeah. When I was 3, I lived for a short time. I lived in Florida with my great-grandparents. And there were lizards everywhere. And I'm like a cat or something. I don't know. Something goes by me and I wanted to catch it. So I would love catching them and putting them on my shirt. They were my buddies.
Okay.
So I've always kind of been, like I told you, my brain's a sponge anyway. So I do know the difference between turtles to a degree. Now, I don't know if I would know the difference between box and water.
I don't know. Is there even one? I didn't realize.
I know a snapper for sure.
For shits and giggles, I Googled the differences of, there's like a whole bunch of different types of turtles, which I didn't even, to me, it's a turtle.
Oh, really?
To me,
yeah, there's like tortoise, there's like turtles, there's like snappers, you better know what a snapper is, because if you ever come across one, you might lose a finger.
I'm not one to, we'll see a turtle and have to pick it up, have to touch its shell, or it's trying to pet its.
So if it was in the way of your car, what would you go around it? I guess you just.
Well, first of all, I'm pretty damn sure I can maneuver my way around a turtle.
Not in traffic necessarily. Yeah. See, I was part of it. My son and I.
I mean, unless he kicked. I've seen the Bugs Bunny cartoons when the one turtle's got the rocket. If he pulled one of those on, so.
I thought you were gonna bring up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for a minute.
No, wow.
Yeah, we were the Turtle Rescue Squad for a while. We were staying out in Hardin County, and almost every day there'd be a turtle in the road, and we'd get out to move it, but. The snapper would literally as you approach it spring loaded, like a boing, like Inspector Gadget, jump in the air and turn and snap at you. So we ended up getting this long stick and getting it to like bite it.
That would be, I would punt that turtle to the next county. I mean, literally.
Turtle football.
Yeah. And snakes is the thing too. People are talking about, oh, there's what to tell if they're poisonous or not. It's the way they're the shape of their head.
I was shooting a video once for my spoken word.
Unfortunately, they're all poisonous to me.
Yeah, no. I was shooting a video once for my, because I have a lot of poetry too, and it wasn't even like a lake or anything. It was like my friend's horse farm, and there was a dip in the field where it filled with rain. So I got in the water to shoot the water scene. Whoa, here comes a water snake at me. Whoa, no, I'm out. Yeah,
no, see, those
not playing.
No.
I like snakes. I actually like snakes. I've got pictures of me holding snakes, but they're boas. They're not like garden snakes or poisonous. No. Mm-mm.
Not a pink boa. You mean a real boa?
My garage right now has turned into a spider fest.
For real?
And I feel like
by choice or
no.
They've invaded.
It's like an outside shed type of garage with a busted window, and they've invaded. And
and to me, every spider has.
And I'm like at my neighbor's
damn, whatever those. How do you look at a recluse? You know, they got
they've got the little fiddle on their head.
They're
back.
all bad spiders.
I've had a lifelong. It's my arch nemesis, a brown recluse, because at a young age, my aunt got bit by one. And they say it's rare, but she's been bit by one twice in her life. And once in a barn and once in a hotel bed. So, like, I always shake out sheets. So my whole life, every time I see a spider, I'm like,
I swear
is that a brown recluse? And I have to look at it real close.
If I'm in bed tonight and something... feels like it's touching my leg. I'm gonna
claim credit for that, and I'm gonna put a mark on my wall like.
Notch in
that was me.
I got notched on Jessica's bed.
Oh no! When I used to do, like, we're jumping topics, but when I wrote this song for a Vixen show once. And it's this a very ragtimey number, and it's like. It's got serious chorus like the moon is big and round and full. Let's let our souls run wild as you kiss my inner child and wrap your heart around me. Beneath the willow tree, I will do things to you that will set you free. But then it would go into these ridiculous jokes, and one of them was, I realized something the other day. My love life's like a damn bag of Skittles, every color of the rainbow. Some people make notches in their headboard, and mine just says, it's a small world. You know, it was this bimbo character I do called Baby Rose. And the other one was, a guy came up to me the other day, and he said, hey, lady, do you know the difference between a paperclip and a screw? And I said, I don't know. I've never been paperclipped. Yeah, so it's just really silly bimbo jokes. It was a lot of fun. But the spiders, I want to go to my neighbors like, lend me a cup of napalm. I am your neighbor. Like, be a good neighbor. Yeah.
For the record, Jessica, if you do get paper clipped, please share it. I want to share that
video.
Yes, please.
I'm gonna send you a video tonight of like the old school football with the paper clip or whatever. Just,
that's your paper clip. So.
Hold your goal up, Kevin.
He's in. He shoots. He scores. All right. Where can people find you on social media?
Facebook. I don't know. You can search Jessica Mathis or Divinity Rose. Either one will take you to my profile.
Very cool. So. Good segment. Thanks for hanging out.
This is a lot of fun. Thanks.
I'm gonna take a bite of those in a few. So.
And take a bite of the fish tacos because they are amazing. By Chef Chicago back there.
Yeah, Chef Chicago. So.
It's so hard to say. I don't know why. Chef Chicago. It's the shush. Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Very good. All right, guys, Kevin Hale back here at Baxter's 942 in the Highlands, continuing with the Shooting from the Lip on-site recording, our remote that we do every Tuesday night. It is August 7th, 2018, continuing the show with local Louisville attorney, Mr. TJ Smith. TJ.
Hey, how you doing this evening?
Good. How are you?
Good. Really happy to be here.
I'm glad you are, because I think we've got some good stuff to talk about.
there's plenty going on in the law at all times.
There, you know, one of the things that I know of you, besides being a local attorney, you know, having your billboards throughout the city, which is
Tark buses, get it right.
Yeah,
I'm on the back of one out of every 10 Tark buses, and I'm totally wrapped into them. If you don't see me, you don't look very hard.
You're not looking very hard. But you know, one thing we do have in common is our love for sports.
Correct.
The local sports thing, and that's one I've been wanting to talk some sports. Get you on, talk just, you know, legal stuff, political stuff, sports stuff. You've got some history with UK.
Yes.
U of L. Let's start real quick, Pitino, when the University of Louisville decided to cut ties with him over this Adidas thing. Now Pitino has sued the school. So the school, correct me if I'm wrong, is countersuing him as well.
They are.
All right. What's your take on all this? Your take on how this has all developed, and maybe how do you see this really ending?
Well, I need to preface this a little bit because, first of all, let me say this. I've known Rick Pitino since 1990s when he came to UK. He has always been good to me, and he's my friend. I'm a UK Letterman. I'm a board member, or former board member of the UK Letterman's Association, and so I bleed blue. And so let's start with this, because I don't want anybody to get the misconception that I have an axe to grind or anything like that.
Yeah, with the local school.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The local school is a fine school. I got a law degree that has served me well. I married a former board member's daughter. When I was coming to U of L, I called Jeff Hall, who was on the 86 National Championship team, and his beautiful wife, Terry, to find me housing to go to law school. And so it's really difficult for me to say anything bad about U of L other than they damn well better lose to UK when it's head-to-head competition. But this lawsuit, it's interesting to me because if U of L defends it the way they need to, they build a record for the NCAA when it comes time for them to be looked at under the microscope of the NCAA.
Right.
And then let's take it a step further. What worries me somewhat is that some of the people or contributors to this might be potential targets of federal investigation. And so, you know, if it's me, I'm telling everybody to take 5, take the 5th, shut up, and go on with your life. And I would make U of L mine whatever data they needed to mine. Well, recently, things have come out where U of L is making some pretty serious allegations about what's coming up in text messages and the text of those things. And you know, the Bowen thing just stinks to high heaven for a university that's on probation. Exactly. And I think everybody in the world would agree with that. Do I believe Rick Pitino could have and should have been fired for cause at the University of Louisville? Absolutely.
For this.
For this.
Yeah.
For this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the litany. It's just the wash list that we've all talked about. Yeah, I think Coach Pitino should have been fired for cause. I think U of L, if it's me, I'd probably say damn the torpedoes and I'll deal with the NCAA, because there is so much smoke and fire in this thing. And so, in my opinion, I wouldn't pay him a penny. I would defend this thing to the greatest extent of the law. I would take him to court. I would make him testify, and I'd bring out every single dirty little sordid detail.
That's my next little nice segue, because you know, Coach Pitino has had a reputation in town outside of basketball, personal choices, and that reputation as a Kentucky fan as well was dates back to when he was in Lexington too. So I think a lot of people thought when he filed this suit against the school that they were, this is going to settle, and he's just looking to, really get something out of it and cut ties. But then when the school countered, I'm thinking, good God, there potentially could be some dirt, some stuff under some rocks that Coach is not really wanting to, have out there.
Well, I know Vince Tyree.
Yeah.
I knew Greg Postel, the former president of the university. I think highly of both of them. Mm-hmm. I consider Greg to be a personal friend.
Good.
I think it was handled appropriately by the board. I think it was handled appropriately by Greg. And I think U of L's under great new leadership.
Okay.
But I don't know what they can do to defend this case to the fullest extent of the law without giving themselves great exposure to the NCAA.
The school themselves.
The school themselves.
Yeah.
And because I think, like I say, there's a lot of smoke and there's a lot of fire already. What we got to figure out is how much fire is obscured by the smoke, and I'm not sure that's what U of L wants. And like I say, this is a guy whose second favorite team in the world are the Louisville Cardinals. Right. All right? Mm-hmm. There's no third. It's one, there's two, and then there's everybody else.
Everybody else, right. Same here. Going back a little bit, you mentioned with Louisville probation losing their title, the championship title, the 2013 championship. And this all stems from the Katina Powell thing. What's your take on that? All that?
Well, I don't think losing the banner in 2013 has anything to do with. I was thinking about Karen Cipher. My bad. Okay. Like I say, there's a laundry list of things down there.
Exactly.
But the Katina Powell thing is mostly accurate. I think reasonable minds will agree upon that. Mm-hmm. I think even the most ardent University of Louisville fan is going to stand back, look at the facts, and agree that that's the case, that it happened. It's real, and it was wrong. It was wrong on a college campus. It was wrong in a college dorm. I thought the penalty was excessive. So I guess what you're going to ask me next is, what about this new case?
Yeah. Elaborate for people listening.
Well, John Morgan, we've all seen him. He's a competitor of mine, except for he's the 10,000-ton elephant in the room compared to me. Mm-hmm. I'm a guy that still handles all my own cases. I'm the one that goes to court for you if you're my client. I'm the one that works your case up. I'm the one that talks to the insurance adjusters. I'm the one that you interview with when you come into my office. Well, I'll hesitate to guess that John Morgan hadn't met with a single plaintiff in the last 25 years because he's in Boston, Philadelphia. He's all over Florida. Mm-hmm. He's in Memphis. He's in Minnesota. If I missed a few, I'm sure that it's no big deal. But John Morgan, what he can do is something that I can't do. He can hire the jack of a single trade. You've heard the term jack of all trades versus being a jack of all trades versus a master of a trade. Well, he can hire the master of the trade to bring this case against the NCAA. And so that's kind of what he's done, because he has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. He makes Papa John look like a chump with what he has in his back pocket. Okay? Gotcha. So he can hire a master of a trade, and he can come into a town, and he can get all this publicity bringing this case. Now, do I think there's any monetary gain to be had by these kids that played on this 2013 team? Absolutely not.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I just don't see it. I see it as a kind of a fiasco, kind of a headline grab, kind of an advertising grab.
Some of it's pride.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But let me ask you this. On your way to law school, you have to get degrees. All right. So I went to undergrad and I got a degree in economics. I also got a degree in personnel and industrial relations. But let's talk about the economics degree right now. Why does John Morgan pay some master magician or wizard that has killed the NCAA in the past to handle this case when the potential monetary gain is next to nothing?
What is the answer to that question then?
It is because he wants to monopolize Kentucky, Louisville, and all the hearts and minds of all the potential clients out there.
Gotcha.
And I know that sounds self-serving, but if you stand back and look at it, you look at it logically, you look at it with a non-jaundiced eye, and you just say, why in the hell would anybody do that? Why would they? Mm-hmm. Well, it's because there was news conference after news conference after news conference. It was on 4 o'clock news, 4:30, 5, 6, 6:30, midnight, 11. It was on all those news shows. And you know what that was? That was $100,000 worth of advertising.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue to be $100,000 worth of advertising every time they bring it up. And they may win. I'm not well versed in the I'm not well versed in the legal standards that they're moving in, because it's really not what I do. I don't choose to be a specialist in NCAA compliance. I don't choose to understand the NCAA. I would rather understand what's going on in your neck when you were in a wreck than understand that type of crap.
True,
because, first of all, the NCAA is so unpredictable. We don't know what they're going to do next.
Yeah, their consistency is that there is no consistency. But when it comes to this, though, and help me understand this, is that Louisville losing the banner, losing all these, the wins, all those wins eradicated from their, record books or whatever. It came down to eligibility. And if the rule is that this instance or this event, this Katina Powell thing, was a benefit perk for recruits, and there were current players who partake. If the rule is that you're not supposed to get these benefits, if there was labeled benefits, therefore that challenges the kid's eligibility. Therefore, if the kid's not eligible and they play in a game, if you stay along those lines, then I don't know how's the NCAA wrong if the findings is that the school allowed these kids to participate in this event, these events, because there's more than one, and disqualify them their eligibility.
Well,
so
I have two answers to that. One's a lawyer answer and one's just a pragmatic answer, okay?
Bring it.
The lawyer answer is that in the past, students who received impermissible benefits have always been able to pay back those impermissible benefits and regain their eligibility. And that's U of L's argument. All right? How
do you pay back a dance or
well, they say they say it was $900 worth of circle jerks. I don't know. Exactly. But that's what they're saying.
That's what I'm saying. How do you pay back in the dollar? I guess you have to, if you give there is a dollar amount. Is that what you?
Well, that's U of L's argument. That's why I think it was so gosh damn flawed.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I mean, I think it was absolutely, completely flawed.
Hashtag circle jerks here. But.
Right. So, yeah, backtrack. I mean, your last segment was snappers, and I'm not really going to be able to do much better than that. I was sitting there, she's just dangling a line for jokes.
Yeah.
So at any point, the pragmatic answer is, what is the real value of that benefit?
Yeah,
really, truly, what is the value? Or how bad were the children injured that indicate they did not want to partake in this thing, this sex act?
Right.
And that's something we'll never get to the bottom of, because those kids are never going to talk about it.
True. But I always thought, man, if there was a kid out there that was under 18, and the school somehow did not, allow this to happen, because ultimately they're recruits, they're coming to school. You would think they're being cared for. As a parent, I mean, is that
I think that kid had a cause of action.
Yeah.
I think that kid absolutely had a cause of action. It was a good one. It's one I would have participated in gladly. You know why? Because I would have made money.
Yeah.
The Economist.
Oh, yeah.
You know, everything's a balancing act, and what you have to do is you have to weigh the good with the bad and what you're going to get out of it in the long run when you analyze every single case you take. So, is my time that I spend on this case going to be worth what I can, end up earning in the long run? And that's a winner every day of the week. Whether there's a TV camera, a podcast, a radio show, or anything else. You know, that's a case that I'm going to win. It's going to be under the radar. It's going to be a confidential settlement, and I'll be in, out with my mouth shut, and nobody ever knew that it occurred.
All right.
I mean, that's what happens.
Right. There you go.
I mean, that's my opinion. I mean, that's what would have happened in that case. If I would have been contacted by one of those parents, that case would have gone away so fast it would have made your head spin. And so let's go to this next topic, okay? Maybe not even next topic. Same topic is this foundation at U of L.
Yes.
That's who would have paid the bill. Ramsey would have figured out a way to make them pay the bill for that to go away, and he would have hidden it through 4 shell companies and everything else. The bottom line is this lawyer wouldn't have allowed that to happen. This lawyer, it would have gone through channels, it would have gone through the IRS, and everybody would have known what was going on that needed to know what was going on, but the general public wouldn't have known anything.
Let me switch gears. One of the hot topics out there is the Urban Meyer, the football thing going on at Ohio State, where it involved the assistant coach or one of the coaches on staff who was it's been charged.
He's
actually
abusing his wife.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, I think that is the consensus.
It's not in doubt.
Yeah, and Meyer initially, quote at the Big Ten media conference, lied that he didn't know. He's since recanted that. He was, he wasn't prepared to deal with it. It appears that coaches on the staff, the wives knew. And initially when that came out, TJ, that I thought Meyer was going to lose his job. I don't think that's going to happen now. I think he may get hit with a 2 or 4 game suspension, but and again, that what I'm getting at now is where big time football in this case, because Ohio State Ohio State football is the equivalent of Kentucky basketball. That's that brand. I mean,
that's where I was going.
Exactly, and money talks. I mean, it's and it trumps. No pun intended. These type of
Trump. Okay, no Trump puns.
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
I don't want to talk about him.
Yeah. No, I may try to get an opinion.
All right, well,
but anyway,
you may loosen me up if we have another drink.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But what's your take on the Meyer thing? How do you think this is going to play out?
I think the Meyer thing's pretty repugnant. I am ashamed for Ohio State if they retain him. I don't think violence to a woman is ever acceptable.
Ever.
Nobody else does. Nobody that's listening to this will ever say anything other than that.
Yeah.
But at the Ohio State University, football pales. Football, honestly, at those big universities like Ohio State,
Alabama,
LSU, Alabama, Georgia. They make UK basketball and U of L basketball look like small potatoes.
Still,
I'm not going to lie to you.
No, you're right. That is football is the revenue source for every, Power 5 school.
I've been to every football stadium in the Southeast Conference, other than South Carolina, that I'll be attending this year because my son will be a freshman there.
Oh well, okay.
Shout out Brock Smith. International business, #1 program in the United States. Got to study at the University of Hong Kong as well.
Oh, wow.
But I've been to every place but Arkansas, Texas A&M, and we all know what it is at Texas A&M, and South Carolina and Missouri. Those are the only schools I've never been to. because back when I was a cheerleader at UK, I went to all the other schools.
You were a cheerleader.
Yeah, that's my claim to fame. Yeah, that's my varsity athlete status.
Like,
Come on.
You got to go to all the games.
I was like one of the worst athletes of all time to be a varsity cheerleader, so I was always on the traveling squad while the people that were going to national championships in Hawaii were back home practicing on away weekends. I liked my job.
You still liked your job. So Meyer, we think he escaped. I mean, he doesn't lose.
I think Meyer escapes.
Yeah, he escapes.
I really do. But
Shoe on the other foot. Get real quick. If this was at Kentucky, and let's use Calipari in this case,
gone.
As a fan, without a doubt, you have to.
Gone.
There's no support.
Gone.
I think Barnhart.
Gone.
Yeah.
Mitch Barnhart would have already fired him.
I think so.
No, Mitch Barnhart is, if nothing else, predictable. Mm-hmm. He is a spiritual man, and he would not put up with it. I mean, it would not happen. What I think that's happening at Ohio State right now is that Urban Meyer is bigger than the rest of the athletic department. Okay?
Urban Meyer is who's more powerful in the state of Ohio than him? Well, it might be a handful.
They do have, Kasich. I mean, he's the.
He's a big time. Yeah,
okay,
maybe, but Meyer's top 5, right?
It's sure as hell not Marvin Lewis, okay?
Yeah, we know that. He's still there, too.
Yes, they can't pry him out of there. We can't get rid of him. I'm one of the last living Bengals fans ever.
I try to be a Bengals fan, too.
But what I will say about Urban Meyer is, I think he sent a strong and loud message to the AD that if I go down, you're going down with me.
Because when he came out and clarified or made his next statement, he said that when he got wind of it, he passed it up. So not to another coach or whatever. He passed it up. So he's putting the ball in someone else's court and of a higher authority than him.
Well, that's the Joe Paterno argument too.
Yeah, right. That's a good point.
It's the same damn argument, except for Joe Paterno did it 15 years too late. After Sandusky was buggering boys in the shower.
Good God.
That's a law school word, buggering.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah.
Is it really? Okay.
We had an English, we had a visiting professor from England for criminal law, and apparently that's what it's called over there, buggering.
Buggering. Okay.
We don't call it that here, but I thought that would be a good addition to snapper. After the last segment.
Snapper over there. Couple more topics that we'll throw at you. I got to throw this out here. What has been? How much have you watched how this Stormy Daniels, Michael, her attorney, Michael Avenatti, Rudy, her attorney, Rudy Giuliani now and Trump, how all this has played out? What is, from a legal standpoint, can
you say the F word on this show?
Absolutely.
Well, I think Trump's defense has been a clusterfuck.
Oh, good God.
That's some good old Eastern Kentucky terminology, but I think it's been a complete clusterfuck. Rudy Giuliani, every time he opens his mouth, sounds like the biggest idiot in the world. I'm a yellow dog Democrat, and the reason I probably would not be a Democrat, but for the fact that my uncle was Speaker of the House at one time, candidate in '79 for governor. John Y. beat him fair and square, and they're best friends to this day. But I'm not a tax and spend guy or anything like that, so I don't want the listeners to think that. I am more about just basic constitutional rights. I think that what's going on right now in Washington is very interesting.
Yes,
excuse me.
Very.
We know about
not fake news.
That is not fake news. No. And what we know is Flynn has produced 5 convictions already. He's in trial on a case. It's the first one to go to trial. There's been, I think, about a dozen more people indicted for various criminal acts.
When you say Flynn, Mueller.
Mueller.
Yeah,
Mueller.
yeah,
Gee,
yeah.
Mueller.
No,
yes. No, I was already.
No,
his name came up earlier.
No, yeah.
So I mean, these people aren't blameless people. Now, did the president know or collude with Russia? I don't know. I don't think they have that evidence right now, or I think it already.
He just tweeted the other day where he mentioned his son Don Jr. actually met with the Russian to get information on his opponent. He said that in a tweet. I mean,
I don't think that's illegal.
Okay,
Chew on that one for a minute. Think about it. I don't think that's illegal. I don't think there's ever been a single political campaign waged in the history of this state where that hasn't occurred, other than the little old lady that ran for senator representative in Bullitt County to fill an open seat. And she was a school teacher, and so she wasn't going to say anything bad about anybody, and she won by a landslide. So there are those type of races where no dirt comes down. But if it's a national race, if we're talking a statewide constitutional office, if we're talking even state representative within a district or state senator within a district, they are digging dirt.
Yeah, but are they, in this case, are they colluding, though?
I don't know that rises to the level of collusion.
Okay.
All right. Now, if they directed the Russian government to undertake the hacking of accounts and disseminating of false information, and if they directed that in any way, even tacitly, I believe that it is absolutely collusion. I believe he should be convicted. And I believe he'll impeach it. I mean, he'll overturn the conviction. It's a word that gets used so seldom in the law, and I don't do any criminal law, that when you pardon somebody, it's just unheard of until a guy's going out and the guy's been out of the penitentiary for 20 years and he wants to go vote again or get his gun rights back again so he can go shoot a squirrel. And so pardon doesn't come to my lips very easily. I'm an old prosecutor. I bet you don't know that about me, do you?
No, actually I didn't know. Good to know.
It's kind of a funny story. Got out of law school, and apparently I did okay because my first job was clerking for Justice Leibson on the Kentucky Supreme Court, and it's a pretty honorable position. It's one I was really happy to get. And then when that was over, I was trying to decide what I was going to do, and I'm weighing between this officer. We're talking 29 years ago. Yeah. I'm juggling this $68,000 offer with full benefits and this $65,000 offer with full benefits, and I decided to take one that paid $17,500 with health insurance with the county attorney's office prosecuting cases, so I'd learn how to try a case. So
looks and brains here, people. He's got it all.
So there were a lot of lean years, and my wife will attest to that. So and
she's kind of made up for that, though, now, right?
She's a saint.
Yeah.
No, I mean, every once in a while we have a good year.
There you go. I'm sure.
Just took my first loss in 13 years and 14 years. And it was a 3-week trial, and boy, it stung. It stung, and it was my Pinto case.
Really?
It was my chance to change the world. But look out. We just filed the notice of appeal. We'll be back. Trust me, we will be back, and we will win.
I'm going to, on this, before I let you go, Kentucky, we're Kentucky fans, huge Kentucky fans.
Absolutely.
The basketball kicks off tomorrow, Wednesday, in the Bahamas.
7 p.m. Don't miss it,
SEC,
ESPNU.
SEC Network.
SEC Network.
And every one of their games are broadcast. Will be live. What's your take so far on basketball?
I haven't been to a practice. I've been to football practice, but I haven't been to a basketball practice because, in my mind, basketball hasn't started.
Yeah, technically,
I'm a football guy.
Because this football season will start
I've known Mark Stoops for 15, 16 years, long before he was at UK. When he was a D coordinator at Arizona, he and I became friends through a mutual friend.
Good guy.
We've been to Vegas and played Shadow Creek and there's been 12 of us in the clubhouse, and Michael Jordan was one, Phil Mickelson was one.
See, now you're showing off.
The three Stoops brothers and the president of the Mirage. That's who we were playing with, and a president of CBS. So, we were having a pretty good time.
Not the guy that's dealing with them, right?
No, not that guy. And so I'm still zeroed in on football. First of all, I enjoy watching football the best because that's what I was the best athlete at. I played a lot of sports in high school, but that's what I was the best athlete at. And so I focus on that. I like to watch the schemes. Believe it or not, because I was a middle linebacker and a fullback / tailback in a wishbone back, in 1985 when that was in vogue. I like to watch what the line does. I really love to watch those battles on the line. So with regard to basketball, I'm excited. Yeah. I don't care if they go 0-4 and 4-0. I just want them to understand each other. Right, try to figure each other out and become brothers. Brothers.
Let's go to football then real quick. Are you one of those guys where, because see, this is me. Basketball is king at Kentucky. I'm very realistic when it comes to Kentucky football. If Kentucky football can win 7-8 games a season, get us to a bowl, they don't have to win the SEC. Granted, if they did, it'd be so fucking amazing. But no, I'm a 7-8 win guy season.
I'd love it.
Yeah, and go to a bowl game, a good, decent bowl game.
Let's beat Georgia occasionally. Let's beat Florida occasionally. Let's beat a West Division opponent occasionally.
We gotta get that Florida thing.
Yeah, I was there when Chris Dorian caught the pass down the middle at the end.
Killed it at the end.
Yeah, but I was also there when we made the kick. McGinnis made the kick against Mississippi State.
Yeah.
I was there when we drove it right down Tennessee's throat last winter.
Were you there when McGinnis hit the game winner against Louisville? Were you there at Papa? I'm sure you were.
Absolutely. Right? And let me tell you what, that's probably the last game I'll ever go back to Papa John's for. Well, and I usually dress neutral, but people know that I am associated with UK. Yeah. They don't understand how somebody could be associated with UK, have been on boards at UK,
took shots
and been an athlete at UK, can understand that they can't understand how I can be a fan for their team too. Yeah. And what it comes down to is athletes like athletes, brother. It's as simple as that. Athletes gravitate toward athletes. I was a college cheerleader. All of my best friends are football, basketball, and baseball players.
That's a good. I didn't know you were a college cheerleader. That's a great.
You want to know one of the greatest UK U of L TJ Smith stories?
Bring it.
All right.
Let's end it here. Go.
So a lot of people remember when Clifford Rozier came to Kentucky on an official visit.
Yeah.
Pitino was the coach. And they brought Rozier in after he transferred from North Carolina. Well,
on a visit.
So I was really good friends with Paul Andrews, Reggie Hansen. Gosh, all those kids, really. Yeah. I mean, seriously, all those kids. Cedric Jenkins. So they said, "Hey, man, Sean Woods wants to bring this kid that's on a recruiting trip down to your house for the Derby party." This was Derby weekend.
Yeah, from Lexington to Louisville.
So it was an NCAA violation because they took him 30 miles outside of town.
Inexcessive, right. Yeah.
All right, so they bring him. We have a good time. What nobody else knows is that my father-in-law, who was the team doctor for U of L for 40 years, Ellis. Yeah. All right, he was the team doctor, and he'd played at Mississippi State, so he had an SEC background. But he was, Mr. U of L. My two brother-in-laws were there who had played basketball at U of L, and my wife was a letterman at the University of North Carolina.
Right.
And so when Clifford comes in, she goes, "You go tell Coach Smith to get back, you going back on that team. You're sorry, and I'm a Tar Heel born or Tar Heel bro. When I didn't be out, that stupid damn fight song that I hate." So anyway, she tells him to go back. Then my father-in-law corners him. He's recruiting him like crazy for U of L. And so at the time, I'm the lawyer for the Louisville Shooters, which is a professional basketball team in town. I'm good friends with all the sportscasters from the Hooters room before the game. And so it gets out, and Pat Forty calls me. Van Vance and Terry Miners call me. Rick Van Hoos calls me, and when he's back a sportscaster back in the old days. Yeah. Cal Gill calls me. They all call. Domini was still around.
Yeah.
So they all call me. And I called my uncle, who was Rick Pitino's lawyer. I said, "Dude, I need to talk to Coach yesterday." And he goes, "All right, what's up?" So I'm at home. It's about 7 o'clock one night, and I go, And I answer the phone. That's back when people had home phones. And I answered the phone. I go, "Hey, Rick." And she goes, "Tell Van Hoos that you are done talking about that." I looked at her. I said, "It's Pitino." And that's the meeting of T.J. Smith and Rick Pitino. I told him everything that happened. He goes, "All right, simple. We're done recruiting him." And, I mean, he was so quick, so decisive, and it was so simple to him that there was an NCAA violation that had occurred, and he quit recruiting the kid. And that's why I don't understand that he can't do that anymore.
Right. Yeah.
I don't understand why he can't be that Rick Pitino. Why is he not
that is the question,
that Rick Pitino today? The same great man that I recognized back in the 90s, mid-90s. Why isn't he that guy today? And understand, some of my best friends are some of his best friends. He's never walked past me on a driving range of a golf course and not said, "Hey, how you doing? Tell me about your kids." He's never not sent me a drink if I was in a grill and at my golf course. He's not that same person today, and that really bugs me because he's Rick Pitino, my friend first, and he's the Rick Pitino that he has become in the media by listening to his PR firms, his lawyers, and everything else. He's not that guy anymore, and he can be. He should be, because I know he has that. I know he has that in him. I still know that he has those values of honesty, hard work, and integrity. It's what you have. It's what I have. You know, in my life, I have one thing that is nearest and dearest to me. All right, and that's my family.
Right.
I mean, 1A, back when 1A won 1A in horse racing, it's my integrity, my word, it's everything. And I just want Rick Pitino to be that guy. I want the University of Louisville to be that guy. I want them to take on that persona, and I want them to man up, tell the truth, fight Rick Pitino till the very end, win, lose, or draw, but let the people know through the court system the truth. And even if it's negative to the NCAA, if it even hurts them with the NCAA,
still the truth.
The taxpayers deserve to know. You pay taxes, I pay taxes, and these kids in school out there see their tuition going up every year because the taxes don't cover anything else. Now, I have one other thing I have to say because I think we're coming to the end of our segment.
Go ahead.
I'm going to turn into T.J. Smith, the politician.
All right.
I cannot get elected in my district. It's impossible.
Because?
I have a D by my name, not an R. I live in Hurstbourne.
You're right. You can't.
It's absolutely impossible. But if I was T.J. Smith, the candidate for office, any office, here's what it'd be. Legalize recreational marijuana. Legalize medical marijuana. Legalize sports betting. Legalize casino gambling. And let's fix this goddamn pension.
Sounds like some winning ideas to me. I mean, the whole marijuana thing. I mean, that's, to me, that's starting to come around. And I mean, how many states right now? There's a lot of.
I think it's 24.
Yeah, that's recreational, right?
No, I think it's 24 that are at least medicinal.
Yeah, but there's a handful that are recreational now.
I think we're getting close to double digits.
Yeah, so it is what it is.
Look, we have Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions, the former great senator of the state of Alabama. He Forrest Gump makes him look smart. I mean, seriously, Forrest Gump makes him look like a genius. So that all having been said, he just convened a committee with the Attorney General of the United States for religious freedom. Are you kidding me? That is literally the state sponsoring church.
Right.
And that's so against what Thomas Jefferson and the drafters of the Constitution envisioned.
Right.
And so Jeff Sessions, while Trump has a vendetta against him on one front, there's a lot of folks that, like me, are educated. and I have a couple degrees. I have a law degree, and I can read the Constitution, and I can read the intent of the framers. I can read the case law from years, all years past. And the lawmakers in our great country did not want religion and state to mix. Do I have a problem if a high school wants to say a prayer before a football game? No, I could care less. I mean, really, I could care less. My kids went to Catholic schools. They always pray.
Though for the record, thoughts and prayers do nothing, people. Those are just things. They don't really help.
They're comforting.
It's very comforting. It's soothing, right? You get very warm, but whatever. TJ, good stuff, man. I want to talk because I would like to get you come on here more often. I think we have a good time talking about
I enjoyed it. I'm a pretty easy conversationalist. I didn't let you talk much.
No, I'm a listener. I can listen. I'm okay with listening. So.
You have to understand, that's what I do for a living.
I know.
I stand up in front of people and wave my arms and put them out wide.
Make your points.
And look contrite when a witness is lying to me. I do all those things. So it's just it's something I really enjoy. I enjoy touching the lives of people. I enjoy people listening to me. I want people to know who I am. Yeah. I want people to know I'm a regular guy. I got 3 kids. The athletics is my life. I coached football for 12 years when my kids were younger and even before they played. The things that I would like your audience to know that are the most important to me are you have to give of yourself. You have to give your time. You have to do something to make somebody's day better. And mine might have been watching a kid that was never going to ever score a touchdown ever, or even set foot on a field on a little flag football team, getting him a 2-point conversion. Something like that. Those are the highlights of my life. It's not the wins and losses in the courtroom. It's not the people that have sent me letters when I told them they didn't have a case, but they told me that they were so happy that I took the time to talk to them because it brought them closure. It's not, it's those little gestures that you do. Right. When you send somebody a letter that says, look, I can't represent you, and you have all the legal cover your ass stuff in there, but you pick up the phone and I said, look, I'm sending you a very impersonal letter, but I want to personally call you and talk to you, and I'll even come talk to you if you'd like, and tell you why I can't take this case. And it's a giving thing, right? Because if you give of yourself, which you clearly do by doing this show, you help others, and you help self-esteem. You help just help people have a better day. Get up,
spread some good karma too. It's okay. I'm going to bring people a better day.
Exactly. I'm going to talk to you like a real person. I may cuss too much. And if you don't like that, there's another lawyer down the street that would be happy to talk to you. So that's kind of who I am. And that's kind of what I wanted to do to introduce myself to some of the listeners on this show. You can find me at TJ_Make'emPay on Twitter. You can find me at TJ Smith LLC on Facebook. You can find me on @makeempay.tj on Instagram. If you can't find me, you're not looking, because I'm on the back of 1 out of 10 of every TARC bus in Louisville, Kentucky. So if you don't find me, you're not looking hard enough for me. If I don't do what you need me to do, I can send you to an honest practitioner that won't cheat you.
Right.
I can send you to somebody that won't fight fights, that don't need to be fight, and they're taking your dollar at $200 an hour, because that's not who I am. I win, I get paid. I lose, I don't get paid.
Very well. TJ Smith, thanks for keeping it real tonight, man.
Thank you, brother.
All right.